Hello everyone, Don back with the next progress report on my work Corsair. I went ahead and finished up the oil system you see in the last video, and the last thing to do was put in a temperature gauge sending unit for the coolant temp. So that you can see is right here now, right down here. I welded a bung onto my coolant tank, so the wires will be right where they need to be. So all that's left to do is to start tying this stuff in its spot, in place. Okay, and then I mentioned cutting these down and threading them. Excuse me, a tickle in my throat. And this is what I was talking about, safety wiring. It's safety wired to the wing nut here, to this hairpin clip, and you just unhook the hairpin clip, pull it out, and then unscrew them. This one stays with that clip, and then you just put them back in when you're done, and so forth. I'm not left-handed, so that's basically what that is, and they're pretty tight. So that's done. Now the only thing left to do is to drill and put the screws in here to lock this in place. Safety wire this in place. Fuel lines are all finished as they were the other day. Just got to tie this down, and the last thing was hooking up this. So I did make a fitting out of those two brass pieces. I ended up welding a bung, as you can see there on the lower side. I welded this bung, threaded it, made my little brass plug out of those two pieces now, and so they're done. Again, I haven't clamped, even though I don't know if that ever need to clamp, but it's tight. So you can see what the finished part looks like there. So plug that back in. It's just a vacuum line for the map sensor in the computer box, so it helps control the timing based on engine load and engine RPM. So it uses a tach signal and a map sensor to plot the timing curve. Alright, now last thing I was working on, mentioned I was going to work on the muffler. So there she is. There's my oxygen sensor, and there's my discharge tubes. Now, don't get your panties in a bunch. This cowling's going to come on here, and these are going to be lopped off so they just barely stick out the bottom of the cowling. I just weld them on because they're full length. So, and it's not, the gaskets are on there, but it's not tightened down yet. One last thing to do is somehow make a mount to hold this, because you know this can still move because this is designed to float. So I'm going to try and pick up one of these holes with some kind of strap or a bracket or a bolt or something welded on there sticking through, but something to lock that in place. So it's ready to put the oil in, ready to put the water back in. Everything is done. Here's the oxygen sensor harness I mentioned that could easily fit through a hole in here and then come into the harness and up to there. I tried to install the gauge, but it turns out the gauge, it fits in there, but it's real loose, and then a little bracket that comes in from the backside won't touch this. The whole thing just passes right through that hole. So apparently my hole 2 1/16 is supposed to be 2 1/16. It's too big for that gauge for the bracket on the back. Alright, now I mentioned also the fuel system. What I ended up doing is I took this plate off, peeled it off, and scraped all the RTV off of it. And I went out and bought some thicker cork gasket material. Now the old one was thin. Here's the two cutouts. That was the old one, and that's the new one. So the new one has got to be three times thicker, 4 times thicker. So that was the core cut out of it. That was the outside cut out of it. So it's quite a difference in the thickness of these two materials. So I like saving that stuff for miscellaneous pieces here and there. And it was a whole roll. It was 12 by 3 foot, 12 inches by 36 inches. Got it at the local hardware store. What else did I pick? Oh, I picked up some sealant that wasn't RTV, Permatex, former gasket sealant, slow drying, non-hardening. Says that it's acceptable for gasoline. It's fuel resistant, put it that way. All fuels fuel resistant. So it's just a thin layer to put on the top and the bottom of the gasket. So, but I turned the plate around. The fitting was back here. This is the back of the tank. This is me facing me inside the plane, rear. So I got it to where when this is in there the right way up, you know, if you're looking at it like so, should be able to reach in here and turn this thing when the tank's in the correct way. So it literally goes in, this just flips over backwards and sets in there. And I also mentioned that I was going to be mounting the fuel filter right here. You'll be able to see that now. It's right there. It's hooked out to the firewall. Here it comes out of the filter, loops around, goes through the firewall. Good thing I bought those extra fittings. And then this side, as you can see, it comes down. And then that hooks onto there. Tie wrap that to there. So the tank's ready to go in. I want to give this a day to set, and I still have to safety wire these spots here. But I'll be able to put the tank up there. Just grab this, tie it right into there, and drop her in place. So the only thing left to do is get the tabs on the corners here so I can screw the tank down. So those will be my next thing. But right now, if I put the oil and water in it, hook that up, put a little gas in it, it'd be able to start again. Well, I got to reclamp all this. I ended up ordering the spring for this to put pieces of spring in there to help keep this from collapsing under vacuum. So we're going to try that route first. That should work fine. So, but even if I clamp this all down, put gas in it, it would start, and I could hear how this thing sounds. So that's where I'm at. I want to get the gauge hooked up. So I've already calibrated it. I powered it all up in the house with my power supply, and I went through the calibration. So you can't start this with the sensor in like this. It can damage the sensor. And then if you don't have this plugged in when you power up the module with the controller, you'll lose calibration. So before I try to start it, I want to at least plumb that all into the plane, power it up, then start it, and then I should be able to read the air-fuel ratio from the get-go. So again, all I need to do is get a mount to help clamp hold that in place. Those will be cut off once I figure out where the cowling is going to fit, and then I'll lop them up. They're going to be fairly short because it's fairly close. I mean, you can put a finger underneath there under the cowling. So they're not going to be very long. If you look at the belly of the plane, line up the belly of the plane, so you're talking, I mean, they're only going to be a couple inches. So they look like chrome, but they're just polished stainless. And I can wiggle this left and right. So that's all done, other than trimming it. I think that's all I did. You know, again, I did that. I still need to decide how to plug this hole. This was just a temporary thing to plug it, but that steel nipple in there, I may just have to drag the weld over here as far as I can and just weld some kind of plug in top of that steel fitting. I can't get it out with what I got, so it's a pressed in piece of tubing. Pretty much out of fittings now. These are all the extras that I ended up buying, you know, 2 of everything or 4 of everything just to have on hand. So I got 2 of those left, 2 of those left. These are the springs and nuts to go on some of these clamps that are missing, like this one's missing nuts and springs. These 2 did that to take it apart. So when I threw this in my blast cabinet, oh, that's another thing. A friend was over here last week borrowing my little dial indicator and magnetic stand, and we were talking about my blast cabinet there, and I turned it on and I stepped on the pedal and it was spraying water. I didn't hook the air up to it, but it was pumping, but it wasn't pumping very good. So I figured, it must be the gasket again in my tank in the bottom there, the pump itself. So I pulled it out yesterday because I wanted to redo this after I welded this on. It got pretty cruddy looking, some black staining from burning and such. But so I needed to clean it up. So I pulled that motor and pump out, and here, sure as shit, the where it bolts onto the top of the tank, I used those riv nuts, that little like pop rivet nuts that you put in there, and then the bolts went in there. Well, the bolts are stainless; they're 1/4 inch stainless, and those riv nuts were gone. There was nothing left to them, and they were metal ones. They weren't aluminum ones. First ones I used were real small aluminum ones that came with the Harbor Freight kit. These guys. There's the tool for crimping them, and these are the nuts. These are aluminum. Maybe they were just the aluminum ones, but they were gone. They were literally gone. There was only like 2 holding the whole thing, and the whole thing would pop apart like that. So I wanted to have any water volume. So I spent an hour or 2 fixing that, and I ended up using some plastic plate that I had on my CNC for a base. And I cut a 6-inch ring out of it, bored it out in the center, and then I cut it in half and made 2 pieces and put one on top of the base. And this thing here has a tube on it that goes down with a piece of stainless welded on it, and it's real thin. I put that on there, and then I slid the other one over top because I decoupled it. There's a coupler on there, and I bolted everything together like a sandwich, and it's never going to blow out now. And I put stainless steel screws up in from the inside out with nuts on top, so it's never gonna blow out again. So after that, then I cleaned this up, and it works beautiful now. It works absolutely beautiful and fast. It just wasn't pumping the water and the media hard enough with the air to do a good job of cleaning. This time it cleaned in lickety. So I mean, in just a couple minutes I had that thing cleaned up, ready to go. So alright, well, I think this is going to be a shorty. Not sure I'm going to get to anything else on this. Tomorrow, I'm going to start driving tomorrow, but I want to get this hooked up, make some changes in the computer, throw the oil and water in it. That's all done. So I'll be ready to start. I still need to try and find a temp sensor. I can use pretty much anything, but I need to get the sensor with the connector. And General Motors has one that's pretty, just a simple one for an air temp sensor. And then that's it. I mean, once I get the springs put in here, I'll pull this back off, get these screws, set screws or whatever, put in there to lock this thing in place. And the intake will be done and be ready to start. I just got to get gas. I clean that out real good, nice and clean, and just need to throw that in, put some gas in it. Get my light out of here. But that filter went in nice. It looks good up under there. And I'm going to write up here, fuel filter. But it's on a clamp. You loosen the screw and you'll be able to pull it out and check it for annuals, because you can pop this fuel tank off. It'll be a whole lot easier getting off with the screws in the corner. Just pick it up, shut off the gas, pull that line off, pull the tank out, and I got easy access to all this stuff for maintenance. So, alright, I guess that's going to do her. I don't know that I had any comments of commenters to really report on. I think that's about it. Richard was, I think Richard is his name, was talking about putting flanges on here, steel tubing with gaskets and that, you know, like an exhaust flange, but that's too much material, too much work. The spring should do the trick. If not, I'll get some short aluminum or elbows to put inside this, you know, just little short pieces. Not going to take much, but I don't want to go through with trying to weld this thing all up, because lining up the stuff is a big chore trying to get that. And I like this isolation because it will keep the heat out of this thing. It won't transfer engine heat, coolant heat up into there. So and then once I do start it, I want to throw a timing light on it and check the time, because in that program you can actually go in and set it to the base timing, and it'll start up and it'll just run on base timing, and then I can verify the timing rate here on this sensor and see how close it is. And then you can adjust the numbers in the computer until you get that 10 degrees, because all the timing is going to be based off of this. This is 10 degrees before top dead center, before it comes up on top dead center. So That's the reference for the ignition system. Alright, I think that's everything. Again, all this is done. This is just hanging in there. I just screwed it in there for now. I'll have to snake it through somewhere and decide on how I want to mount this. Either way, I got to go through the firewall with one of these plugs, either big enough for the sensor to pass through from the inside out, or this has got to go from the outside in. But either way, I got to get that other, well actually the other cable does have a small end on it, be a much smaller hole, but then all this will be hanging out here if this is on the engine side. You got all that to do up. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Alright everyone, that's going to do her. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Wife's got dinner going, and I'm about had it for the day. So it's been a beautiful day today. It was only in this like mid 60s today and dry. It was actually cool. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, I guess the next couple of days is going to be pretty much the same. 60 this morning, it was only 58 or something when I got up. Okay, that's going to do her. I will catch you guys again next weekend, I guess, Sunday. Next Monday is the holiday, so wife will be home, but I'll be out here plugging away. Okay, everybody, I will see you guys again probably Sunday night. So for now, this is Done and Done out. And again, thanks for watching, everybody.